Hi, and welcome to Your Inside Power, where we are helping you to discover the powers that you have inside of you to create your own reality. I just want to share with you a quote that I had. It says, everything that's coming into your life, you are attracting into your life. And it's attracted to you by the virtue of the images you're holding in your mind. It's what you're thinking, whether it's going on in your mind, whatever's going on in your mind, you're attracting it. And it's just like in the last episode last week when I talked about the acorn. You can have an acorn and it's going to sit on your shelf and it will never turn into an oak tree. And that's what a goal or dream is. But when you plant that acorn into the ground, it attracts everything it needs to turn into an oak tree. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because I have a very special guest, Mikki St. Germain, and she has an amazing background. I was just chatting with her a bit, and she's going to tell you about how she took ideas and turned them into reality. So without any further ado, I want to welcome you, Mikki, to our show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So you did some football and you are a coach and you have just this amazing background. How did you, as a woman, because our audience is women, but how did you take something that's pretty much male dominated and become so good at it and get a coaching job and so on? Can you just share some of that with our audience?
Sure. Yeah, football is a difficult sport to get into as a female. I've loved the sport since I was 7. I kind of got involved with it with my dad. My dad introduced me, or he's my stepdad, but he's my dad. Introduced me to football, and I fell in love with the game. And I would have played if I could have. During that time frame, it was very difficult for women to get into sports, and especially football. And so yeah, I just kind of just enjoyed it from the sideline. And then when I had my son he was about 6, 7, decided he wanted to get into football. And I thought he wanted to play flag, like all his other friends. He goes, no, I want to do tackle. And I'm like, yes. So during that time frame, I volunteered as a team mom, and then it was through Pop Warner. Pop Warner is a very interesting organization because it's all volunteer. It's usually parents and coaches, and it's a lot of volunteer work, and these people put a lot of time and energy into helping your kids. And I lucked out because a lot of times we had coaches that would, get preoccupied or couldn't make it. So I could fill in because my football knowledge is pretty extensive. And I just kind of grew, started out as an assistant coach, did that for about 5 years. And honestly, I'm very fortunate because I'm very grateful. I'm going to give a shout out to Lisa Sherrier because she was the president of the organization, which was called Ocjoff, which was outside of Pop Warner. She was looking for a coach, and I said, I want a shot at a head coaching position. She goes, let's do it. So I came in and I got this position, and I had 17 guys on my team. And we went on to win our division, our league, and we won our Super Bowl. And then from there, I went on to being a high school special teams coordinator, and then a special teams coordinator and D-line coach. But the reason I'm kind of giving you all this background is it was a lot of obstacles. I mean, I really put up with a lot. However, my passion and my drive and my goal to work with these kids and use football as a vehicle really is what kept me going through some of the most difficult times. My suggestion would be, whether it's football or anything else that you're going to do, if you have a passion for it, don't allow the obstacles to get in your way. Just keep focusing on what you want. I have a quote that I always say: the most courageous thing you can do is be yourself. Don't allow anybody to take that away from you, especially if it's something you really, really want.
When you're talking about those obstacles, so often we see somebody who's had success, and if they look at your Facebook page, for sure they're going to see, oh, this is what she does. She's, coaches and so on. And they think that it came really easily to you, but I'm sure that there were people that maybe didn't think you should be coaching their sons. What do you know? Things like that. Did any of that happen to you as you were adventuring into this football coaching?
Oh my gosh, yes, I can think of many stories. I had I remember one time we had a game, and I'm very fortunate because along this journey too, I had a lot of people that were very supportive, and a lot of times it was the moms, that were on the team, and they kind of gathered around me, but it was also the dads too. So I had a lot of families that really were excited to have me on as a coach.
Mhm.
But every once in a while, you'd have one, and I'll never forget. I had this one game, and I had a dad, and I'm standing and I'm looking out at the field because I have to watch to see who am I bringing in. I'm making calls, and this dad was over my shoulder, and the words that were coming out of his mouth and the language and what he was saying to me. And I never turned and looked. I never took my focus off the field. So two of my dads saw it happening, came in behind me, and then I had one of my team mom who was amazing, take me by the arm, and we just moved slowly down the field. As I'm focusing down, the two dads took him and walked him off the field. But I've had coaches that were livid because I would beat them. I've had coaches that kind of did some things to sabotage me as a coach, and there was a lot, and the stories could go on and on. I had some opportunities that were squelched because I had other male coaches that just didn't feel it. They wanted me to be that to represent that. But honestly, with all that being said, um, yeah, you just have to put it aside, and so, like I said, I had to focus. And there was many times I came home and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I dealing with all these people? And then I was like, I'm doing it because I love the kids. The kids, I have an opportunity to be a mentor and teach them about life on and off the field. And football was just the vehicle. And to watch them thrive and build and come together as a family. And they really became my family, whether it was, I call them my teen parents too. So yeah, those obstacles were difficult. And I could tell you many, many other stories. But the reality is that you just go forward and you don't allow it to interfere with what you want to do.
And I suppose it gives you a bit of an understanding when you see other people, because, like I said, so often we see the result of, somebody being successful, and we think they were just lucky, or they had this advantage, or they had that advantage. And truth is, whenever you're, going to be successful, it's all about you, and it's all about what you've done. And there is no straight path. There's always going to be obstacles. And, so let's talk a little bit, about your new adventure, because I want people to understand what it is you're trying to do here with Keep On Sharing. And, this is just so exciting to me, and everybody needs to listen up, because she's going to give some really good information on what she's going to do to try to change the social media world. So tell me about where, let's just go back to when you started, where did you get this idea?
So during the time frame during COVID, when everything was down and people were having difficulty, putting their businesses together and doing stuff, and the same thing for me, everybody's online and they're trying to get things done. Unfortunately, a lot of social medias do have different things that you're allowed and not allowed to do. And then I saw a lot of people struggling, and I said, this is crazy. I was just like, why can't we just have something out there that actually gives back to everybody? They have an opportunity to share with their gift and what they have to do, and just make it, a good platform where everyone can actually support in a positive way. And I got together with quite a few people and also some programmers, and I said, this is what I want to do. And it just started to evolve. And I said, I want to create a platform that gives back in multiple levels, one to the users and also back to the community. And we started collaborating, putting stuff together. And that's how I came up with Keep On Sharing. And when I came up with this idea, I wanted to be able to give, a lot of platforms taken all this advertising and all this money, and I'm like, but it's our content, it's our time, that these would not exist if you weren't posting your pictures, your information, your businesses. It's building up their platform. And I was like, this should be, it should be giving back, because it is, we're let's keep it going. So that's why I started Keep On Sharing. And I did something extremely aggressive, because I'm giving back 50% of all my revenue. So anybody that does come on to Keep On Sharing and see sees an ad, think of if you scroll past an ad, every time you scroll past an ad, imagine if you got paid for it. Well, on Keep On Sharing, you do. You do get paid for seeing an ad. I also wanted to create a platform that was free. You could advertise your businesses and put it up there for free. We never sell your information. That's frustrating, to me and to everybody else. It's like, why? Why do I need to sell your information? I don't. So I was really excited to be able to offer something that did, along those lines. And then we have an area that's of a charity that we have where we take a portion and we put it in 100% that we get, as Keep On Sharing is going to go back into charities. So it kind of works as a referral. Whereas if you and your referrals come in, you'll always get paid whenever you scroll past an ad. And again, it's free to join and to post your business. I want to support local businesses. A lot of times we try to put up our podcast or our businesses and they get lost in the shuffle or it doesn't fit. And it's just like, just post it. It's up there. We've already had a lot of people collaborating and cross networking and supporting and helping each other and having a platform that was positive and fun.
Okay. So now you were sharing with me that it really hasn't launched yet. And
Yeah.
so how are people finding out about it right now? Is it just through word of mouth, like you shared with me, or, how does anybody find out about it right at this moment?
So our real official launch is actually, we're going to do a live launch, which will be, everybody's invited, can come onto our YouTube channel and just go to keeponsharing.com. And then you can find us either on all of the videos, and that'll be where the live event will be, excuse me. And just go to keeponsharing.com and then you can just make a profile. And yeah, it's all been word of mouth because a lot of people are like, this is really great. I can put up my information and it's starting to build on its own. And I know once we officially launch, it's going to take a life of its own. And it's just spreading by word of mouth because people are getting frustrated with other ways of that or platforms that are difficult for them to be on.
So does it work like other platforms, as far as, putting up posts, and can you do videos and things like that? How does it work as far as logistics?
Yeah, so you would go on to keeponsharing.com. You would click on new user. You would start it with just putting in your email and your password. That's it. And then you will start your profile. We can put up a picture and then put in your information. And then you can just start posting just on the front page, just like you would do any other social media. Video is in the works. That is coming up as we speak. Right now, you can post, a description. You can post your event. You can post your services. And then if you look, the fun part is there's a little icon that's up on the top right-hand side. It's like a little gold coin. And you'll see all of a sudden it'll start ticking up. And every time you scroll past an ad, you're going to see that you're going to get a portion given back to you, for seeing that ad. And you do have people that are doing advertising on it because our advertising is inexpensive and you can come in, put up an ad, and for as little as $1, just post an advertisement. It's up to you. And then again, that money is allocated. 50% goes to Keep On Sharing, keep our lights on. The other 50% is allocated back to our users. So every time you see that ad, you get, you're going to get paid for your time and your effort and your content.
Oh, so that's where your real difference is than with other social medias, is that you're going to get money back. So if you advertise, and your advertising is not like on other social media networks with an extreme amount, right?
No, we're actually so I did a little bit of research when I looked at some of the other social medias. It's about every 2 to 3 posts, you'll see an ad come up. On ours, it's going to be every 6 to 7. And not only that, it's every 36 seconds. So as you're scrolling through and looking, you'll also know which is a sponsored ad because there'll be a red line. It'll say sponsored post. And it's nice because it changes out. And I've got a lot of local people that really want to build their business, and they went in, they said, this is great. I'm just going to throw on $100 and, now their ad is going through and, it's going to be shuffled in with everybody else. And it gives everybody an equal opportunity to put up advertising and have everyone see it. And it'll, as you look through, plus, who wants to be bombarded? We are so bombarded with advertising. I don't know any website I go to that if it's not on the side panel, it's scrolling up in my face or whatever. And it's like you want to have that time to be able to just relax, see what's going on, connect with friends, have your business. So, we want to make it fair and just make it so it's comfortable too, where it's not, we're not bombarded with ads, coming through our platform.
Right. So let's get back, as I said, I did this whole episode last week on the difference between or the similarities, I guess, between an acorn being planted in the ground and an idea being planted in your head. So you had this idea, and then certainly you must have had some doubt as to whether you could do it.
Oh,
Did you have any,
yeah.
like, who am I? I don't, maybe you don't have, I don't know what your technical background is, but you may have had those doubts as to, how can I get into this market and compete? So what did that look like for you?
Honestly, again, it's yeah, I'm a football coach. My technology or my technical knowledge is very limited. But I do know that, again, when I wanted to do this, to be honest with you, as much, I love the platform. It's a great vehicle. The part I'm really excited about is that we do have the charity and that charity. So as I was telling you, as you get paid for people that come in because they see ads, it's the same thing. We have an area that proceeds and money is going up into that charity, and 100% of that charity is going back into the community and to anybody that needs something, disaster release, other charities. So we are going to be able to give back to the community. And honestly, Patty, that's really what fuels me every single day. And I think there is a crossover because during my years of coaching and even in my own personal life, I know what it's like to go without. I really do. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have difficult times. And that's another story, another TV show. But I wanted to be able to give back, and using Keep On Sharing as that vehicle to give back to everybody. I know that when it really takes off and those funds start coming in, my goal is to have Keep On Sharing, make it a place where everybody can benefit and succeed, because I'm only going to succeed if you succeed. But I see myself in a ponytail and a sweatshirt out there giving money so kids can buy cleats, giving money to programs, giving scholarships to these kids that I know really want to go to college but can't afford to go. I want to be able to give back. And yes, I'm up against some big giants here. I know this is not an easy road to travel, but I am so passionate about my goal of having this work. So by the time it's really up and running, the whole end game is for me to be able to give back to everybody and help all these kids that I've seen over the years.
So when you get discouraged, because I always tell my clients, and I've said on the TV show, when things don't go the way you want them to go, because you're not always going to be up here, life's like a roller coaster at times. So what do you do personally, when you get discouraged and when something didn't go right, or when, you feel maybe even a little, I don't want to use the word threatened, but I can't think of a better word, by some of those bigger social medias, what do you do to get yourself back into the vibration and back into that frequency of things are going to go really well?
Honestly, I sit back and I go, okay, take a deep breath, Mick. Just take a deep breath and let's figure this out. So, and I'll write it down. I've got 3 big whiteboards that are in my office. One is my personal, one is my business, and one is just things I have to remember. And a lot of times I go, okay, start over again, go back. It's just step 1. And just why? Honestly, why is the biggest question you need to ask yourself. Why am I doing this? If you've got a strong enough why, then you can always go back to that and just go, okay, what can I do, one step today to get me closer to that goal? If you're having the worst day ever, if things are going haywire, if you just are like, I just can't deal with this today, then go, you know what? what can I do? What one thing can I do today to get closer to my goal? And it could be, maybe you just make a phone call. Maybe it's just revisit your list of things that you have to do. Maybe it's just get on the internet with a cup of coffee and just do a little bit of research of what you need to do. And sometimes it's just maybe shut off the lights, put on some jazz music with a cup of coffee and just relax.
Yeah.
And the good news is you need to regroup and just go right back to it. And that's what I have found in anything that I do. You just have to sometimes step back, regroup, and just start over.
Yeah. And, I think one thing you said there's really key is to do something,
Mhm.
and don't crawl up in bed and, and
Yeah.
pull the covers over yourself. Do something, because as long as you keep doing something, you're putting one foot in front of the other,
Yep.
and you're moving towards that goal, and you're figuring it out, because, just like that acorn attracts everything it needs, when you keep putting that idea out there, you're attracting people to you. How many people do you have, right now on this site?
At this point in time, we've got close to 1,500 businesses, and we are growing exponentially for our people that are using it. I haven't gotten a tally. I just see every day it's using. I've seen more and more and more people coming on. I do know based on the businesses because they're doing advertising. As the users are coming on, I'm just seeing it just expedite and grow. So I know by the time we launch, we expect to launch with close to 250,000. Close to. But
This is
again,
amazing.
and yeah, and like I said, and it's growing, and that's good. But one of the things I was going to add to what you said, what do you do when you get frustrated? One of the key elements I have found, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's business or personal or coaching or whatever, is surround yourself with positive people. You're going to have people that want to, are dream stealers. You're going to want to be people that are going to tell you, we'll never make it, we're doomed. You have to go,
Yeah.
wait a minute. No, you can't be in my boat right now. I can't. I'll take the oars myself. So you so you have to be able to surround yourself with those that are going to lift you up. And if you have those people that are just trying to always tell you why it won't work, try to find the people around you that will tell you why it will, or help you with the tools, or even just support you, even when you come up with the craziest ideas. To come up with an idea like this, and they're like, the first thing everybody said is, what you're taking on, right? You're taking on, and I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah. And I've also had to step into a room with 300 male football players, and everybody looking at me like, so what? I'm used to being uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. You said something important. People think success looks like this, is a straight line. It looks like this.
Right.
You have to understand that it's not going to be an easy and straight line to get through.
Well, and I think what you just said there about being uncomfortable, our brain wants us to be safe.
Yeah.
And yet we can't be safe if we're going to adventure into something that's unfamiliar. And we have to learn how to be uncomfortable, and we have to be willing to step out of that comfort zone and into what we really want. And sometimes that just goes back to, just thinking about what it is and keeping focus. I'm sure that you had this idea percolating in your mind for a while, and you just kept focused on it and focused and focused. And as you focus on anything, same with your football team, as you focus on the goal, it starts to come into the reality. You start to see how it's possible instead of how it's not possible. And the other thing I think also is when you talked about being around the right people, that is so key, because you can be around people that are going to discourage you, or you can be around people that are going to encourage you. And sometimes you have to let those people go and say, yeah, we're not going to associate with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always think, I go, thank you for your insight. I appreciate what you've had to offer, and I try to take whatever I can take out of that, but I don't make that the end all. And getting out of your own head, again, you asked me about what do I do when you get discouraged? I know what I'm up against. I know what I'm doing, but I also know that if you're doing the right thing, and again, we're calling ourselves the first ethical social network. And I know that's a very strong words too, because it's your content, it's your stuff. I see a lot of these people that post religiously on everything and just constantly have things on there every single day. Well, that's keeping up, that social platform. And it's like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you be compensated for that? And I think, like I said, that for me, I notice even some of the pictures that I put up or some of the things that I've posted, you get all these people that follow you, and influencers make money day one. You're working really hard to put your content up there, so why wouldn't you be compensated for it? And again, in the back of your mind, you're like, are you crazy? It's like, well, you know what, maybe you have to have a little of insanity to
Yeah,
move forward, but that's what makes it fun.
right, right. So you may be really swamped right now as far as, with everything you're doing, and this launch is coming up later this month. And, but if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Or what's the best way for them to, engage with your social media network? Just give us some ideas of what are some things that they can do to be part of your network and be part of your platform.
So it's easy. Just go to keeponsharing.com, and then you'll have all the information there to register as a new user, and then just follow it through. I mean, whether you are an instructor or just someone who wants to post content or post your business, your services, your events, you can get started today. Just go ahead and start posting. So keeponsharing.com is the best way to go. If you want some videos, you can go onto our YouTube channel, which has got, Keep On Sharing, at Keep On Sharing, and that'll kind of give you some insight on and all the information on how to do that. And honestly, to reach out to me personally, if you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can just go to MSTG, that's MSTG at keeponsharing.com, and just drop me an email. And if you have questions about other things, I highly recommend you just go on, and then you can post on to our support, or if you have any other comments or questions that you need to address. We are going to be having different times where we'll come on and we'll teach you how to use the platform and other things that you can do. So we'll keep you posted on that through the Keep On Sharing platform also.
Well, I know I've watched some of the videos, so you do have some videos there right on the site that you can watch.
Yeah.
Or I guess they link you to your YouTube, but you can watch them and gain some more information. Mm-hmm. Are you going to have anything like groups like they do in, the other platforms? Is that something that's coming?
Yeah. Actually, when you go to post your page, so what'll happen is you will have an opportunity. You'll see buttons up there that'll say, edit, and then you'll have invite to my private page. And we have some people. We have personal trainers, and we have martial arts studios, and we've got a lot of people, life coaches, that deal with clients one-on-one. And what you can do is you can invite them to your personal page, and they'll only see those things that you're going to post between you and that other person. And then you can go public, and post on the front page just like you would. So if you've got a group, like we have martial arts studios that have just want their students, where they just want to keep a closed group, it's the same thing. You'll have that out. You can do that too. And then same thing with hashtags. You'll be able to hashtag so people can find you. We're implementing a lot of things, and I'm really kind of excited because we've got some upcoming things that have not been seen on other platforms, and that'll be kind of fun. So you want to attend our live launch on June 29th, and that'll be through Zoom, and you can find that link also on keeponsharing.com.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So you said that if somebody joins, they would receive 100 free ads for their business. What does that look like?
Actually, please go, when you make your profile, you'll see a little button under there that says advertise for free, or excuse me, advertise. Just click yes, and we'll know for you as a new user, we're going to give you 100 free ads. And that way you can start your business right away. And that's our gift to you guys for coming in and believing in us and giving us an opportunity to help you with your business.
Oh, that sounds awesome. All right. Well, I hope everybody will go to keeponsharing.com and to join the network and make your dream come a reality. Actually, it really is a reality, but make it grow even bigger. So I want to thank you again for being our guest today. And Yeah, everybody just got to keep on sharing. And what's the name of your football team?
Oh, my football team. It was actually the Patriots. Oh, for my personal team, my NFL team.
No, I meant for the one that you coach.
Oh, the one that I coach. I've been at a couple different, I've been at Dana Hills High School and I've been at a couple other high schools, but my winning Super Bowl team were the 2015 Patriots. They were the
Okay.
Patriots, and shout out to those guys because they still follow me, and I love you. You're still my family. And thank you for having me, Patty. Thank you so much. I
Yes.
appreciate you.
And thank you so much for joining us and being part of the show.
Thank you.